Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. Up first, fire danger. Not much change up here over the northeast interior. Porcupine River, areas of high fire danger up to the southern slopes of the Eastern Brooks Range there. And then a little bit here on the north slope, dry enough today, temperatures rising into the lower to mid 70s there. So we threw a patch of high fire danger up in that area. Otherwise pretty good everywhere else. And moving to the satellites yesterday, starting out the visual imagery here, showing the actual clouds and the actual clear areas like Norton Sound there up into the southern Seward Peninsula. Looked like a sunny afternoon there for Nome. And otherwise, a lot of clouds here with the precipitation that came over earlier in the day across south central Alaska, dropping southeastward, but moisture extending back into northwest Canada, and clouds and moisture off the southeast coast. Today, wet, occasionally wet, a lot of clouds and showers and light rain across the panhandle today. 12-hour amounts throughout the day today range from about 1/4 of an inch at Juneau to roughly 1/3 of an inch at Petersburg. With just a lot of moisture here, and then another system back to the southwest, and northeast flow here carrying some pretty good showers in from northeast to southwest across the Wrangell Mountains today. And rainfall amounts there, upslope areas as much as 1/2 inch, 5 to 6/10 of an inch falling, and down into the eastern Copper River Basin. Let's see, McCarthy picked up about, if I can read my sheet note there, about 1/4 or 1/3 of an inch of rain. Otherwise, Wrangell had about 1/3 of an inch as well. And then lighter amounts down along the coastline there. Sunshine this afternoon, Cook Inlet, south central Alaska, Bristol Bay. Front coming in, bringing rain, some gusty winds here through the Bering Strait and the Seward Peninsula western areas there from St. Lawrence Island. Fair amount of rainfall with Cape Romanzoff picking up 1/2 inch of rain, and Savunga about 1/3 of an inch up there. Winds dropping off at the front, pushing eastward, and then just a weak trailing edge coming back down across the Pribilofs, just a few hundredths of an inch falling in that southern portion of the front, and then really weak as it trails back out towards Shimya. On the chart, roughly about this position, 4 o'clock this afternoon here, the gusty winds south to southeast are mostly southerly there, 15 to 30, maybe some gusts 35 miles an hour through the Bering Strait. And then lighter winds down to the south and more west-southwesterly. Westerly winds 15 to 20, maybe 25 miles an hour behind the front. And the main frontal band still mostly north of the Aleutians here, although some warm front moisture is slipping on down into the Fox Islands, stream western Alaska Peninsula, and then trailing back to about Attu Island. Otherwise, widespread area, again, of just solid clouds, showers, areas of rain across the panhandle, and then linking up with this area of moisture slipping southwestward here from the Wrangell Mountains out of northwest Canada. Another batch farther to the east there, but lots of clear skies over the interior, except the northern Koyukuk Valley. Some cloudiness in this area. Sunshine, north slope, and looked like VFR all the way out to the Arctic coast, even on the east side there after some morning low stuff dissipated late this morning. And for tonight, this front will weaken, continue to edge eastward. The gusty winds will definitely be diminished from what they were back out earlier today here for the northern Bering Sea through the Bering Strait. But a band of light rain will be pretty continuous there from the Noatak Valley area, Kotzebue Sound, southward across both the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, pushing into the Kuskokwim Valley there across the mountains, and then down to the Alaska Peninsula. Areas of rain, fog, and drizzle there. Be pretty light there for the eastern Aleutian areas. And again, the frontal boundary and the precipitation mostly staying north of the Aleutians, at least through tonight. Otherwise, showers, clouds and showers here for the North Gulf Coast into Valdez, scattering out as you head over toward Turnagain Arm. Evening, isolated showers over the mountains here, south central Alaska. Otherwise, variably cloudy. And about the same thing there in the Tanana Valley, mostly dry and clear up to the north. Again, to the north slope, out to the Arctic coast. Maybe some patchy areas of fog developing out there, but still have that offshore flow, southerly winds there, keeping it pretty nice. And then isolated showers here over the Panhandle. Very weak trough still off the coast. That'll keep a thread of showers going along the central outer coastline. Otherwise, look for some clearing, possibly over the southern areas. And then for tomorrow, drier day than today, maybe some clearing, but more and less in the way of shower activity there. But looks like a pretty good chance of showers actually here down over the southern areas, less of a chance up to the north. Maybe some clearing for Yakutat. North Gulf Coast, mostly cloudy, scattered showers. Day much like today here for Cook Inlet, Madanuska, Susitna Valley areas in the Kenai Peninsula. Could see a few showers developing, but general increase in the clouds as this system progresses eastward, but the split in the flow there taking this portion mostly onto the south there. So this area weakening right through here, but holding together enough to bring a pretty good chance of rain across the Kuskokwim Valley. Looks pretty rainy there. Back to the northwest out to the Selawik Valley, Kobuk Valley areas, Kotzebue Sound, Seward Peninsula, southerly flow there, lots of clouds, light rain, fog, and drizzle. Wind's not too bad though. IFR here with showers, light or fog, showers, drizzle, low clouds coming in from the west there on down. The Aleutians, occasionally wet, definitely probably IFR tomorrow. And now that frontal boundary sagging down across the Aleutians, so mostly cloudy areas of light rain, fog, and drizzle there as well. Then this system off to the southwest, looks like first day of the weekend, will move to a position something like this, a little bit stronger there. So we're putting some gales in off the south coast of the Panhandle for Saturday with gusts to 45 knots in the forecast there. Again, the marine forecast. Swell craft advisories moving into Clarence Strait. Much lighter winds up to the north, though, and turning northerly there instead of the southeast here along the coast. Easterlies lightening as you go up the coastline, but a good shot of rain coming in with that weakening front pushing through. Again, changing to showers, moving into the southern southeast coast later tomorrow night, and then, of course, in the afternoon, which this chart's drawn for, breaking out the showers or ending completely down toward Dixon Entrance, Metlakatla, and Annette, but good rainfall up to the north there, first day of the weekend. Pretty wet here for much of the southeast coast. Mostly cloudy, cool, scattered showers around all of southern Alaska here, out toward the Yukon Delta, maybe a little better. Interior, west central, not too bad, maybe some sunshine. North slope, mostly sunny. Afternoon showers, isolated thunderstorms here possible over the northeast interior from the Alaska Range. Maybe the White Mountains on up toward the southern slopes of the Brooks Range, but not anything too widespread or serious. Low clouds and fog possible on the Arctic coast, otherwise the north slope staying pretty good. And then this warm front spreading some warm front type weather into the northwest there with probably some IFR, especially out toward the coastline, across just about all of Chukchi Sea, light rain, fog, drizzle, that sort of thing, spreading south across the Seward Peninsula into Norton Sound. Not a bad day over the Bering Sea here, light west-northwest winds, maybe some clearing, but I'll call it cloudy and foggy for the Pribilofs, and light northerly flow keeps the Bering Sea side of the peninsula and the Fox Islands pretty well socked in with clouds, maybe some drizzle, sunshine possible, Chignik, Sand Point, south side of the islands there to Unalaska Island, Nikolsky, and a very weak warm front might give a little moisture there to the central Aleutians, but that's really washed out and weak and probably won't be anything noticeable at all. And then for temperatures this afternoon across the Panhandle, with the clouds and rain, upper 50s to lower 60s again, 61 at Sitka, also up to 61 down there at Metlakatla, 57 Petersburg, and 57 degrees there at Klawock, with Petersburg picking about 1/3 of an inch of rain during the day today. And Juneau about 1/4 of an inch with 58 this afternoon at the airport. Otherwise Skagway 62, mid to upper 50s North Gulf Coast, Valdez 59, 58 with the rain at McCarthy, but up to 62 at Gulkana. Lower to mid 60s here through the eastern Tanana Valley, 64 at Northway, but up to 69, almost reaching 70 there at Fairbanks, 74 at Tanana, 74 down there at McGrath. And south central Alaska, Kenai 61, same thing at over at Homer, but Willow up to 73 this afternoon, near 70 at Talkeetna, 65 in Eagle, 70 even at Fort Yukon, 75 at Bettle, 64 both Anatuvik and Arctic Village. Umiat Airfield, 72 degrees, 63 in Nuiqsut, lower to mid-50s there out along the Arctic coast. Kaktovik, though, down to 46, kind of chilly there, and 66 at Point Lay. Otherwise, 70 degrees at Kelly and 66 at Selawik with 64 at Kotzebue, and Deering 70 degrees. Mid-60s here for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, cooling back into the 50s out toward the coast. Lower 50s there, St. Lawrence Island, Savunga. 50 degrees for St. Paul. And mostly 50s here for the Alaska Peninsula. South side, though, 62 at Chignik, 60 Sand Point, 69 in King Salmon. Only 47 at Nikolsky this afternoon. Otherwise, lower to mid-50s for Adak and Atka. Back down to the upper 40s for Shimia. Lows for tonight, lower to mid-50s, pretty mild again here over the west central interior down through the Kuskokwim Valley, and also pretty mild up on the Arctic coast. Looks like 40s to mid-50s up in that area, with the 40s out along the coastline. 40s for the Bering Sea, upper 40s to near 50 there, lower 50s for the Panhandle. Highs for tomorrow back into the mid-upper 70s here, central northeast interior again, as well as the North Slope, day much like today up there, and 60s all the way out to the coastline again, except for Kaktovik, only 53, but that's up from what you observed this afternoon. 50s, mid-50s, mid-upper 50s here, southwest interior. The clouds and rain advancing eastward, so look for some cooling conditions here into the Kuskokwim Valley. Lower 60s, a little bit warmer with less moisture for the southeast coast. Flying weather tomorrow, marginal VFR starting the day out here across all of the Panhandle. Maybe some IFR up over the eastern North Gulf Coast, otherwise marginal for the Copper River Basin. Lots of IFR out here in the west and the Bering Sea areas with VFR for the Arctic coast. And that holds through tomorrow afternoon as well. VFR in the forecast, all of the North Slope and Arctic coast up back here to the west. Western Brooks Range. Areas IFR are penetrating inland with that frontal boundary coming in. More socked in, though, along the coast. Southeast Bering, Aleutians socked in with IFR. Marginal VFR, Gulf of Alaska, North Gulf Coast. Prince William Sound right into Passage Canal and the southeast coast. Could see some improvement here over the northern areas in the afternoon. And for passes, Anatuvik, wide open tomorrow. Same forecast for Adigan, VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR with lowest conditions on the western approaches. Same thing for Rainy. Lowest conditions will be on the western entrance. Possible IFR in those western entrances tomorrow afternoon, otherwise marginal. Windy, though, stay VFR. And Isabel, VFR, risk of a thunderstorm. Risk of a thunderstorm also from Antasta. Tanita, VFR. Portage, marginal. And Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR, may be becoming VFR in the afternoon. For the freezing levels, not much of a gradient. We've got 10,000 feet here along the west coast, and then like 8,000 or so through much of the remainder of the interior, on down the Panhandle there. So that responsible for very light wind flow aloft. Warmer conditions, 14,000 feet over the southwest Bering and Aleutians. Very typical for this time of year. And for the icing, with that very weak band of moisture, the frontal boundary, what's left of it, above about 12,000 feet out there of some rime. A little more extensive zone here above 8,000 feet from the west central interior down across Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula. Spotty stuff to the east and chance of here over the northern southeast coast. For the winds aloft, jet stream, again, high pressure here south of the Aleutians. One branch coming up and over that, a split flow right through here with a deep trough off the west coast there, the northeast Pacific, ridging Panhandle up through the eastern interior. So a weak flow from the south to north here. Again, that carrying that front, edging it eastward ever so slowly. And for the 9,000 foot winds, very light winds at that elevation here over the eastern interior, picking up to 10 to 15, but south 30 knots across the western Brooks Range mountain areas there. And windiest here, western Arctic coast, a lot less wind on the east side. Light winds 5 to 15 for the Panhandle, and westerlies, west-northwest, 25 to 35 knots here. Central southern Bering Sea down across the Aleutians and the Fox Islands. Lighter, though, that trough axis crossing the Alaska Peninsula into Bristol Bay. 3,000 foot wind flow chart looking like this, ridging across the Panhandle. Drier conditions, hopefully, with the main low hanging back to the southwest, but light winds there. Again, light Gulf of Alaska through the eastern interior, picking up about 20 knots eastern Arctic coast. Southerlies 20 to 25, up to 35 knots there, say for coming across Kivalina and the northwest coast, but lighter with the trough axis picking up, increasing 25 to 35. West-northwesterlies there, here out over the Bering Sea and the western central Aleutian areas. Turbulence, look for some moderate chop with those winds there for the AKwx area. On back to the west, areas of moderate chop below 4,000 feet, and light to isolated moderate for the Fox Islands to, say, King Cove. And then for St. Lawrence Island, occasional moderate chop there, all below 4,000 feet, northward through most of the Seward Peninsula into the northwest part of the state and the western coast. Smooth everywhere else across Alaska. And after the break of Stargazer, I'll be back with the ice edge and the marine forecasts.
Maui's fishhook. Welcome to Stargazers. I'm Dean Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory.
And I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida. One of our favorite summertime constellations is visible above the southern horizon after sunset this month, and it has quite a story.
That's right, James. Scorpius the Scorpion is gracing the southern sky this month. But did you know that Scorpius has a totally different identity that has nothing to do with scorpions?
What are we talking about? Let's show you. Okay, we have our sky set for about an hour after sunset any night this week, facing south. It is here that you'll be able to see the familiar J-shaped pattern of stars that make up the constellation Scorpius the Scorpion.
According to Greek mythology, Scorpius was sent by Gaia, the goddess of the earth, to punish Orion for boasting that he was the greatest hunter to ever live. So, while he was hunting, the scorpion attacked Orion, stinging him with its poisonous stinger. The scorpion was then placed in the sky to mark Gaia's victory.
That, however, is not the only story about this bright pattern of summer stars. Believe it or not, many people see this J-shaped pattern as the giant fishhook of the demigod Maui. In Polynesian folklore, Maui and his brothers decided to go fishing. He brought his magic fishhook with him and instructed his brothers that once he tossed the fishhook into the water, no matter what they caught, keep paddling and do not look back.
Almost instantly, Maui's fishhook began to pull up large objects from the ocean. Excited, Maui's brothers paddled faster, and Maui pulled harder and harder. Many hours passed, and the brothers were exhausted from all the rowing. Against Maui's instructions, they decided to look back at what Maui caught, and boy, were they surprised.
Indeed, one of the brothers exclaimed, "Maui caught land!" Maui was furious, exclaiming, "Had you not looked back, we could have raised a great land." We now know these small pieces of land as the Hawaiian Islands.
In addition to that, Maui tossed his fishhook into the heavens to slow down the sun so that the summer months would have more hours of daylight. To this day, we can see Maui's fishhook in the sky every summer. The stars of Maui's fishhook, aka Scorpius the Scorpion, have some intriguing names. Starting from the west and working our way east, we have the three stars marking the claws of the scorpion: Grapheus, Ashuba, and Pi Scorpii.
Down and to the left of those three stars, you have Alniat, Antares, and Alniat. Yes, Scorpius has two stars with the same name. The first Alniat is Sigma Scorpii. It's a binary star system over 500 light years away.
The second Alniat is Tau Scorpii. It's a blue-white star over 400 light years away from us and over 18,000 times as bright as our sun. Between Sigma and Tau Scorpii lies Antares, the famed rival of Mars.
Antares is so large that if you were to place it in our solar system, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars would all be orbiting inside Antares. Lastly, let's show you the tail. Moving away from Tau Scorpii, we have Epsilon Scorpii, Mu, Zeta and Eta Scorpii, Sargus, Iota and Kappa Scorpii, and Shaula and Lasath, which mark the stinger.
Shaula and Lasath are sometimes called the cat's eyes because they seem to glow mysteriously, like the eyes of a cat. Shaula is over 36,000 times the brightness of our sun and is approximately 570 light years away.
Meanwhile, Lasath, which means bite of the poisonous one, is also close to 580 light years from us and over 12,000 times the brightness of our sun. So there you have it, one constellation with two inspiring pieces of folklore. As the night passes, you can watch Maui's fishhook descending toward the horizon.
Or you can imagine it being a menacing scorpion desperately trying to find Orion the Hunter.
And if you look closely, it's being followed by a yellowish, non-twinkling light. That light is Saturn.
If you haven't had a chance to look at Saturn through a telescope, now is the time. Saturn is moving away from Scorpius and into Sagittarius, the Centaur Archer.
There's lots of great stuff to look for when you keep looking up.
Looking at the sea surface temperature analysis this afternoon, of course this time of year you get the warmest water over eastern Norton Sound. The higher reds or the oranges there, but that's still, I think, around 16 Celsius. Same thing for Kuskokwim Bay, much cooler back out to the west, but you can see the greens now well up into across the Chukchi Sea, and still some ice left there of about 4 to 6 tenths right through this zone, right through here, but there's a mile of coastline, a mile of open water here from the coastline out to the ice right along the coast there, right, the north side of the Barrier Islands. And it looks like over the next several days, this will probably continue to break up, again, about 4 to 6 tenths right in through here, surrounded by 1 to 3 tenths. And for the southeast coast, tomorrow, southeast winds, 20 knots, pretty uniform wind and seas, 5-foot seas there. Clarence Strait, southeast 15, light winds, Stevens Passage, Lynn Canal, northern Lynn Canal, south 20, 4-foot seas. They'll swing around to the north with that low system approaching from the southwest. Falling pressures go into a kind of a northerly flow, light northerly flow, 15 knots, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, on down through Stevens Passage. And then southeast 25 for Clarence Strait, southeast winds 30 knots, gale force gusts up to 45 knots, that for the southern coast here. Less of that for the zone to the north, and then easterlies at 25, small craft advisories. East 20 on the north coast, seas 6 feet, but up to 13 feet on the south coast. For Prince William Sound, light variable winds tomorrow, seas slight, south 15 for Cook Inlet, 5-foot seas, southeast at 15 for Kachemak Bay, Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, light variable winds. Fognak Island in the Barrens, west at 15, west 15 from the North Gulf Coast. Seas staying laid down at about 3 feet, all the way down around Kodiak into Shelikof Strait where they're 2 feet. And then for Saturday, north to northeast, 15 knots, so picking the winds up a little bit. Barely a breeze though for Shelikof Strait and east side of Kodiak, but 20 knots now for the Barren Islands and the western North Gulf Coast. That should be northeast there. Arrow fell off, but these are all northeast, 20 knots, 4-foot seas. And northwest now for Prince William Sound at 10 knots with light variable winds in the forecast north of the Forelands for Cook Inlet. And for Bristol Bay, south 15, southwest 15 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, west 20, south side. I think I said 15, that's southwest 20. And then light variable winds up toward Kodiak Island, Castle Cape to Sitkinak. And then for Saturday, winds directions all over the place here, northwest 15 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Bristol Bay east at 10, so pretty light there. Northeast 15 from Sitkinak to Castle Cape, and then northerlies 15 from Castle Cape to Cape Saratchev. 3 to 5-foot seas, but up to 6 feet here on the Bering Sea side. Eastern Aleutians, Fox Islands, westerlies 20 to 25 knots. Consider it small craft advisories there everywhere with 6 to 9-foot seas. Small craft advisories 8 to 10-foot seas into the central Aleutians, turning southwest as you head west. And then for Saturday, those drop back to 20 everywhere. So a little lighter winds here, but staying west at about 20 knots, 7-foot seas just about everywhere except south of the Fox Islands there, 5-foot with those northwest winds at 20. And moving to the west coast, westerlies on the north side of Nunivak Island at 15 knots. South of Nunivak Island blowing into Kuskokwim Bay, we've got a southwest breeze at 15, but seas up to 5 feet. West winds 20 with 9-foot seas, so small craft advisories there for the Pribilofs tomorrow. West 25, 10-foot seas for the St. Matthew Island Marine Zone. And then for Saturday, St. Lawrence Island, same forecast as tomorrow, winds southwest at 15, seas about 6 feet. Light westerlies north of Nunivak Island, seas though up to 5 feet. Southwest 15 with 16 or 6-foot seas there for the St. Matthew Island zone. The Pribilofs now getting pretty light and variable to the northwest. Looks like it'll be a general northwest drift to the wind. Seas 6 feet, but only 10 knots. Light variable winds here south of Nunivak Island on into Kuskokwim Bay, but seas holding at about 5 feet. And for the Arctic coast, tomorrow, 15-knot winds over toward demarcation point. They're a little brisker at 20, with those seas a little higher at 6 feet, then dropping to 15 here, or back up to 20 on the west side out of the southeast. And then from Cape Beaufort all the way down to the Bering Strait tomorrow, southeast 25 knots, small craft advisories there. Then for Saturday, those turn south and southwest, fall back to 15 knots. Southeast winds for the central and west side at 15, with seas coming down to 3 feet. Eastern Beaufort Sea coastline, east at 15, seas on the east side here subsiding down to 3 feet. And for tonight, pretty good conditions up there along the Arctic coast tonight, and virtually cloud-free down in toward the Tanana Valley. But then you'll pick up some clouds, isolated showers, and that moisture coming southwestward there. So it looks cloudy and showery for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, Valdez. Not so much for the Kenai Peninsula. Isolated showers here across the Kuskokwim Valley. Area of rain progressing eastward with this front and getting pushed in on those westerly winds. But the main push here is starting to head off to the southeast. So that's going to put the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians into the rain and fog. And less showers now over the southeast coast, but a weak trough keeps the best chance there. Looks like around Port Alexander to maybe Cape Edgecombe. And then for tomorrow, mostly cloudy, partly sunny, scattered showers for the Panhandle, so drier day than today. Isolated thunderstorms here, eastern interior, possibly maybe to the Talkeetnas and the Copper River Basin, but nothing all that widespread. On up to the north there, mostly sunny northeast interior, another sunny day, North Slope Arctic coast. Rain progressing inland here across the Kuskokwim Valley, back across the Kobuk, Selawik Valley, Seward Peninsula, wet for the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, and Bristol Bay. And then for Saturday, it looks cloudy and cool, showery here, southern Alaska, rain for the Panhandle, thunderstorms eastern interior, another front with light rain to the northwest.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.